Coming up on episode 9 of the Countdown 2 podcast, me and Key are joined by two of our best and most opinionated friends to discuss football and music. Welcome, boys. Welcome to Nick's here. So I'm here with Jamal, George, Keenan, and obviously myself. I want to start talking about this Bruno Fernandes against Kevin De Bryune. So we ran a Twitter poll, and so the results were. Let me get them up. Actually, it was closer than I thought. So Bruno Fernandes won just literally by an inch. It was 51.9 to 48.1. So really, there's nothing in it. That's like a vote or two. But yeah, so me, George, and Keenan think Bruno's a better player. Is that correct?
No.
I don't know. I wouldn't say better player. I'd say it's a weird one for me because when I watch the two play, I'd say KDB has more moments where I go, wow, like that's unbelievable. But at the end of the day, Bruno, since he's joined anyway, it's just been non-stop goals, non-stop assists. So it's a toss-up between if you're going to make a team, how do you want that team to play? Like, because if you put KDB in, he can kind of control the game because he's got that to him, whereas Bruno doesn't really. He's literally just going to receive the ball in the final third, look to shoot or look to pass.
Yeah, that's the same for me as well. I should probably phrase it as, who would you rather have in your team if you've got a game tomorrow? That's pretty much the question, isn't it? It gets a bit too clouded and too complicated when you start saying who's the better player and who's having a better season. I know this is like the same argument there is in NBA quite a lot, but I'd rather it just go as, if you've got a game tomorrow, who would you rather have? And I'd rather have Bruno Fernandes. From what I've seen since he's joined United, and he scores goals, he assists, he creates. I mean, he plays every game for United for a reason, isn't it? You guys don't tick without him. You look terrible without him. That's why Van der Beek doesn't play, for example.
Van der Beek not playing, I just think he can play all over midfield, innit? I don't necessarily want to see him in the number 10 because that's not what he's came in to do. That's why there's still things like Grealish talks and other number 10s like around Europe that we still want. So I just want to see him play either over Fred or McTominay, which I don't know how George feels, or Jamal, or yourself. I don't know how you feel, but I do think he starts ahead of one of them. If there's a pecking order of the midfielders at Man United, Van der Beek's not at the very bottom. Do you know what I mean? He's not at the very bottom. He brings. Everyone says he hasn't got energy, but you don't need energy when you've got class feet. Like, he plays on 1-2 touch if you see him. Fred, he chases his touch. Do you know what I mean? He's like, it's one of them things, man. Like, this is all just my opinions, but I don't think Van der Beek's at the bottom of the pecking order at United. I just think it's bad man management, in my opinion.
How about De Bruyne and Bruno for you? Who's the better player? Would you rather have in your team for tomorrow? It's a bit hard being a United fan, but still.
No, it's got to be Bruno all day, man. Bruno all day. If we're going off stats as well, which was surprising. Obviously, we spoke on Twitter, and then I mentioned Foden being better than De Bruyne this season. We've got to take that into consideration, you know, boys, because how old's Foden? 19, 20. And he's outdoing De Bruyne this season. He may not look it, but I'm sure yesterday he became City's top goal scorer this season. With 9 goals, you know what I mean? I know Foden and De Bruyne are not there to score the goals, but this is a generational talent we're talking about, and he's outdoing City's captain, if we say, or main man, you know what I mean? For me, it's clear that Bruno was the better player, you know. The stats this season for Bruno goals and assists, the ratio is just crazy, man. There's no comparing. I can understand why people are Bruno haters, the penalties and all of these. It's clear as day for me, man. It's just clear as day.
Go on, Dry. Let us have it. I know you're ready to say it.
The thing with me is, I'm happy to concede since Bruno's been here over these. It's been about 12 months. Like last January, over the 12 months. I'm fine with you saying Bruno's had a better 12 months. That's fine, and I agree with that because even as a Liverpool fan, I can't downplay his impact and the numbers and whatnot and what goes with it. So I understand that. But if you look, like you said, if you're playing a game tomorrow, who would I rather? It's KDB all day. There's nothing on a pitch. If you're watching them, for both of them for 90 minutes, that Bruno is doing and that KDB can't. The range of passing, no one's talking to Kevin De Bryune or very, very few people. He's a goal threat, assists for days, all types of assists, not just little 5-yard rollers. He's whipping balls in, he's playing little incisive balls. Anything you want, he's doing. He got an assist. He got an assist the other day. Who did they play last weekend at home? Palace for John Stones' goal on the right. Usually whip him in. This time it was like outside of the boot. He's got anything he wants in his locker. And like what you said about if I wanted to pick a player to play tomorrow, what's the opposition? Because it's fair to say in these 12 months,
you can't stop your no tennis.
No.
What's the opposition? What?
No, wait, let me land, man. Let me land. The opposition, the quality of the opposition, yeah. Even the two United fans here, can you hand on heart say, in the big 12 months he's been there, in the big games he's played, the big pressure moments, he's turned up? Honestly, hand on heart.
Let's think of it. Big.
I went to this the other day.
Go on.
So everyone's quick to jump on Bruno about this, but like, okay, Liverpool 0-0 just gone. Like,
was one of the worst games I've seen from a big player, by the way.
He was poor. He was poor. That is the only thing I'm going to say he was poor. There was the Tottenham game at the start of this season. We'd had 2 games, like no pre-season. Like we got battered 6-1. Everyone was crap. Like
he got hooked at half time in that, didn't he?
Like 60 minutes, 65 minutes in, yeah. Oh no, it was half time. Yeah, you're right. And then there was the Chelsea 0-0 at the start of this season as well. But again, both teams, both played, like everyone on the pitch didn't look like scoring. Then I look at Leicester away a couple of weeks ago, goal and an assist. So everyone seems to forget about, like, Leicester are a good team. Like
they are. But I'm talking like the traditional big 6, if you know what I mean. Like I know Arsenal ain't really at it and Chelsea ain't really, but the big games, the big Europe. Been how many semi-finals since he's been here, and he's dropped disaster classes. I'm just the Man City game a couple of weeks ago at Old Trafford where they beat you in the cup. I respect him as a player and the things that he's done, even though it pains me to say. But the same way I would hold De Bruyne to these standards, not just these two, but the big players in the league, Salah, Mane, Harry Kane, Son. I can reel off big games, big moments for these players. I can't do the same for Bruno. And he's had more than enough.
We beat City last season. And he got
that's the one game, and he got the assist for Marshall. That's the only game.
And
other than that, it's penalties, and that's it.
But penalties do you count? You know?
No, and I hear that. No, they count. I hear that. I get that. But the influence he's having throughout a 90 minutes, it's not there in a big game, and it's not a one-off. The Champions League games, it's not there.
You know, fairness to you though, yeah. Like I understand what you're saying, the big games, but do you know the position that we've been in since he's been here? A few of our big games have been against the lesser teams, you know. As bad as it sounds, a few of our big games have been against the lesser teams. If we're looking back at the last 12 months, I'd say when he came in, we was on. I'd say we was playing shit football basically, and then he came in and obviously he changed the dynamics of Man U and the system and whatnot. But then we was charging for top 4. Like we had to make top 4. Look at the impact he had on those games there. It wasn't all big games against City, Liverpool, X, Y, Z. We had to, we had to go to places like Southampton, had to go to Everton, had to like grind out these wins.
Last game of the season.
Bro, that's a good point, Look when you guys played Southampton this season, Cavani scored 2 goals later on. Who created them goals? And it was Bruno who scored the other one as well. It was Bruno. Games like that. It doesn't always have to be these glamour games.
Yeah,
okay, but
I mean, man, these are big games. And this season, obviously we're in a more comfortable position. I think top 4 we've made it. Like, I don't think we're gonna be finishing 6th. I think we're in there. I didn't say that now. We'll finish in the top 4, but even now, I think this season it's weird for everyone. Every game's a big game, and if we will lose, let's say we play Chelsea tomorrow and we lose, and then Villa, Tottenham, Liverpool, you all win. Suddenly we're in like 7th. You know what I mean? Because of how the table is, and obviously this corona season.
Yeah.
I think most games are just big games,
But anyway, just to finish off on this whole Bruno Fernandes KDB difference. What my closing argument and why I prefer Bruno Fernandes from what I've seen over De Bruyne is we've seen De Bruyne when he didn't have this super team next to him where he's got depth in every position. And then City were they were 3rd, 4th, even with Pep. But when Bruno's come to United, literally instantly, even before this season, last season, they looked like a different team, bro. It was night and day. And I just don't think KDB can lift others around him like that. Other like lower skilled players around him, should I say. But yeah, that's the only difference for me. And I just think Bruno's better at doing that. And it's more of a goal threat as well. He's liable to score more goals. And you say his long range passing as well. His passing is really good, his long range passing. What's that, George?
I'd say, honestly, Bruno's our most clinical player, probably after Cavani. Cavani's pretty clinical, but when I see Bruno through on goal, like, for example, the Southampton game away, or just like against Fulham, he hit the post. But like when he gets a chance on the edge of the area or in the box, I'm automatically just thinking like goal. Like I don't get that same confidence when I see Rashford, Martial. Like it's a bit weird for a midfielder how clinical he can be.
And also, off the top of my head, you're saying these big games, Jamal.
I can allow them to listen.
No, wait. Against us, De Bruyne wasn't good. Against Liverpool, De Bruyne wasn't good.
No, I hear that. Yeah, I hear that. Players are allowed a off game in big.
Why is Bruno allowed?
Wait, let me land. I hear that. Right, you're allowed an off game. Everyone, that's cool. No, I'm not disputing that. My own players in big. I only got to look at the United game the other day. Not just Bruno. Bruno wasn't the only bad player in that game. Salah was awful. Mane was awful. Everyone was poor. However, it's not a one-off. Like George said, that City game. That was like his first big game in the United shirt. Since that game, there hasn't been one standout big game, and it's not just a big game in England. I'm talking in Europe. I'm talking semi-finals. I'm talking.
RB Leipzig 5-0, bro.
PSG away.
Was he that impact? Was he that impactful?
PSG
scored the one penalty that had to be retaken. Lucky.
So he set up. I'm sure he set up Rashford.
Pogba set him up.
He set up a couple of chances for Rashford. I remember him going through a few.
Listen.
Istanbul can't pronounce them. That game there at home as well. We had to win that. Coming back.
Listen. That's the Premier League retirement place. That is. I've seen Skirt, all Clichy, all of them man play. Demba Ba, all of them man play for them. That don't count to me. But you talk about the Istanbul game. What about the 2 games after when you needed 1 point? Because I watched more so the Leipzig game. I watched that game from minute 1 to the 90th minute, and I watched him very closely. There's been games this season where I've watched him very, 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 very closely. That game, big pressure moments where you need your big players. Pogba went. That was just when that was the day before Raiola come out and started talking about Pogba wanting to leave and things like that, innit? The day after, I'm expecting the key man, the talisman, It's a big game. You have to win it, regardless of there was a bit of a mess at the back and whatever. Big games, big players, man.
Wait.
I don't. God,
Right. So to interrupt, we need to let's have a quick break and then we'll pick this back up in a minute. Wait, the recording's about to go off in it, so that's why I've stopped. So I'll call everyone back in a minute.
Yeah. Let me go check some statistics. Let me some info.
And we're back. So just to carry on from where we left off, Joel was talking about Bruno and KDB. So yeah, no further delays. Go on, Joel. Finish your point, bro.
Yeah, the point I was making was it was about the final Champions League game. Forget the PSG one because it can happen. The Leipzig game, you need a win. You know what you need from it. You need a win. There's been uproar the day before with Pogba and whatever. You're the talisman. You're the one that's meant to be. You're the one that's had such an influence that can't be denied over this team. These are the moments that you need to be present for. I need you to be. They're not Bayern Munich. They're not. We're not talking about 09, 010 Barca here. We're talking about Leipzig. They're a good team. But if you're, as you man are saying, he's better than KDB, who's widely regarded as one of, if not the best midfielders on the planet. So if you're saying he's better than him, I need to hold you to the same standards. Meaning, in these games, I need to see something. The only time I saw him was when they were 3-0 down and it was penalty time. Other than that, he weren't involved. And you need more than that. You can't just be a flat track bully and expect to be called the best player in the top players in the world. It doesn't work like that. I need to see things when the opposition's quality is on the same level and you're not the best player on the pitch in terms of you look around and there's other players when they're playing City and there's KDBs or Liverpool and there's Salahs and Manes and whatever. And Spurs and Kane and whatnot. I need you to be at the same level. It's all right doing it, like you said, at West Ham and Southampton and these teams. That's cool. And they're needed throughout the season, and I understand that. But the fact remains, in the pressure moments, big pressure, when the world is watching, I'm seeing him kind of not drown, but I need more. I need something. I need a Bruno moment. I don't have one yet.
That game was bad. That's unfair. What you're saying is fake. What you're saying is unfair because when City stunk that up, and they lost to Leon in that Champions League game, there was no energy for De Bruyne. All the energy was for Pep.
Yeah, I agree. Everyone was getting on Pep.
I hear that. No, I hear that. There was a lot of energy for Pep, but when you start tinkering with your team and playing free at the back on all these mad systems and diamonds and that, then you hold yourself accountable to get criticism. However,
is the best midfielder in the world on the pitch, like you've just said.
Did I not say? Wait. Did I not say before? You're allowed to have off days. That's fine. I'm all right.
You're allowing him at one too many. Like
one too many.
Who? Is there any more that apart from that Leon game? Is there any more that we're happy to?
All the years they've been knocked out.
Again, against us in the Champions League a couple of years back when Sonny scored.
Yeah.
He should be
doing Was he awful?
Damn, you shot yourself.
He won the game.
I haven't. I've not said that Bruno is a bad player. I'm just saying, in these big pressure moments, I've seen KDB in big pressure moments. I've seen him in big games. I've that one game against Leon last season wasn't his greatest game. That's fair, and I can criticize him for that as well. However, the same one that Bruno didn't turn up in either. There's games that I haven't seen Bruno turn up in, and it's consecutively in big games. Oh, this is what I said when we was talking on Twitter the other day. I said the longevity thing holds a lot of weight because there's only a 12-month sample size really of Bruno because no one was really watching him in Portugal. It's a lot easier to be picking out games for Bruno when he hasn't been at his best. For De Bruyne over a long. That's Anfield though, bro. That's Anfield. That's Anfield on the Champions League.
What score was at the Etihad?
Same. Again.
We won 2-1. Yeah. But that's I'll my hands up. De Bruyne hasn't had a great Champions League time, but that's all right. That's cool. I can admit that. However, 12 months of good form, albeit great form, still isn't enough to top what De Bruyne has been doing for the last however many years. I can't put him above it. He's had a better 12 months. That's fine to admit.
Yeah, he's had a better 12 months, but
Cool.
to do it in a consistent bracket, 12 months it's a year, isn't it? He's played consistently for 1 year, averaging 30 odd assists. Correct me, George. 30 odd assists and like 28 goals or something like that. Yeah. He's just got his 50th cap for United, I'm sure, and he's his numbers are close to his apps.
It's Ronaldo numbers, like it's what Ronaldo, Messi put up, like seriously.
Big numbers, big assists, and he's got big goals to go with it as well. And we've got to think. You mentioned tweaking systems here and there. United were in a back five almost. Pretty much since he came.
We played a back five against Leipzig away.
Okay, that's what we was talking about not so long ago on a different pod, was that with United, it changed from week to week. You haven't got a nailed on system. You don't know who you're going to play. Yeah, same as Pep. That happened with City as well. But like I said, we had the same energy for both, and I don't think we do.
No, but when
Bruyne's got a lot more credit in the bank.
When United tweak a system, let's say the Fulham game, the one just gone. We sort of did go into a back five, and obviously Bruno didn't have the best of game at Fulham, but what did he manage to do? He still managed to get shots and passes off and whatnot.
He created the goal as well, the first goal.
He created the goal, but we've seen more of Bruno off the ball. That was an off the ball kind of game because we know Fulham can keep it. Like, I know they're down at the bottom, but Fulham can keep the ball. So that game there, we saw our midfield work and Fulham made us work. Bruno off the ball, second to none. KDB off the ball hasn't got a clue. He may as well be in Belgium. He's not got a clue off the ball. This is what I've got a problem with De Bruyne. Off the ball, he's not the best. And if you're thinking who Pep's worked with, Xavi Alonso, Busquets, he should be able to help him off the ball. But on the ball, he's one of the best in midfield. Like one of the best midfielders in the world.
When you talk about off the ball, though, there's so many top players that he can reel off who aren't great off the ball. So I don't think that's a stick you can beat him with.
But let's look at the best midfielders in the world. If you just name me two, I'll be able to tell you if they work hard off the ball or not.
Yeah, I understand. Well, I'll throw you Paul Pogba. Maybe not one of the best midfielders in the world, but he's not brilliant off the ball. But he's amazing on the ball, same as KDB. You can give or take, but there's so many top players that are great on the ball and not good off.
But give or take, he works hard off the ball. He sprints back. KDB, I'll be honest, I haven't seen him sprint in a while. I actually don't even know how fast he is. I swear, I'll be honest.
One thing I want to say about De Bruyne, is we're saying about how Bruno has done this in the consistent 12-month bracket. De Bruyne has never done that because he's so susceptible to injury as well. Like he's injured again right now.
That's a fair point.
Last season, he had 12 assists in the first 9 games or something ridiculous, didn't he? Was going on to break Henry's record of 20. He might have even had 15 or something. And then again, injured. Didn't break the record. He got 19 or something, I think he finished with.
Which is still they got 20, he tied it.
George, it's still crazy numbers.
Yeah. Your point as well, I agree with, because we're saying, Jamal's saying, KDB has got a bigger sample size, got more credit in the bank. He's got so many injuries, and we can't forget that, was it 18-19? City literally won the league without him from start to finish. They literally won
that was a different City team, though. That City team is not the City team that we see today. That still had Silva, it still had company. They've lost a lot of leadership as well. You have to factor that in.
I understand, but we can't say the City team today because he isn't playing today. He's rarely played this season.
He's been cool up until he just got injured. He's been in the team and that.
Okay, but anyway, regardless, my point is he had that team around that you just described, and he was obviously doing work, doing bits, and then. But look at the players around him. He hasn't got players like McTominay, Luke Shaw. These type of players, they're not amazing. Whereas City's just got this star-studded 2 players in every single position, best manager in the world.
Is
not
it
Ole Gunnar
star-studded?
Solskjaer. And then, so obviously, the task at hand is not as difficult. So this is what I mean. It's nip and tuck, obviously, but Bruno Fernandes has dragged this United team, under Solskjaer to the top of the league, whereas KDB is just a part of the system. He's in their system, whereas Bruno feels like he is the system. That's what I think, anyway.
Key word you said
I don't think.
as well.
Go on.
Key word you said there as well for me is under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Obviously, everyone gives him criticism. Take what you want. I'm not here to criticize him, but
Man said Ollie out, you know.
no, it's not. I'm not even saying Ollie out or nothing like that. He's doing it under a manager he's got no credentials or anything like that. If who would trust Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with
one more trophies than Pop?
Yeah, one more trophy. But
I don't know. I don't think he has.
Has he?
Yeah, Pop just won one. And,
in Norway and that.
In it. Yeah.
Well, I don't. They don't.
Like, he's doing it under Solskjaer. Do you know what I mean? This man, if you ask me, how does Solskjaer go about his work before we joined Manchester United? We'll say we've not got a clue. Do you know what I mean? So why should we trust with Solskjaer? Do you know what I mean? And let's just look into internationals as well. Bruno's got international trophies. What's KDB?
Oh, move, man, move. Anyone can ride the coattails of CR7 at India. I'm not having that. Who they playing the final in that Nations League? Is it Switzerland or something like that? No, Holland.
We can't dismiss.
I'm not interested in it.
We can't just dismiss that point though, because KDB.
No.
Listen. KDB's gone into tournaments as favourite, and he has not. They've not delivered. Belgium have not delivered, and he was there. He was there.
Belgium.
Huh?
Is that the star man for Belgium?
What?
KDB's the star man for Eden Hazard. KDB's the star man.
No. This will be a good segue to what I've got next coming up. You've consistently told me for however long De Bruyne is better than Hazard. Have you not?
But there's a difference in but there's a difference in being the main man. I don't ever think KDB has been the main man for Belgium, but I think he's had a better Premier League span than Hazard. Hazard's took 2 seasons off in Premier League. I can't respect that. Hazard's gone missing for 2 whole seasons, and he's doing it again in Madrid. I can't respect that.
Yeah, but if you're going to put a player in your team tomorrow, who would it be?
Now in 2021, KDB or Hazard?
When Hazard was in the Prem.
When Hazard was in the Prem. Which Hazard? There's 2 different versions. There's the one that cares and the one that doesn't care. Which one?
I'd put KDB in. Hazard.
Oh, it has to be KDB. I've never seen a top player refuse to show his ability for 2 seasons. I don't understand it. I've never got it. Because the ability is there. The ability it's not Messi, Ronaldo, and it's not Neymar, but it's probably the bracket below that, innit?
He's not as good as Neymar, but he's on the ability. In terms of ability, he's on Neymar's level. But in terms of his production,
no.
He's not. He is. He's on Neymar's level.
It's the bracket below. It's the bracket below.
So who's in that bracket below then? With the same period, so Gareth Bale, them type of players.
Even Bale, you know.
Whoa. You gotta stop this. You gotta stop this 2012, 2013 Gareth Bale thing that you keep doing, man.
About when Finger was in the Prem, when Hazard was in the Prem. So we're looking at 2015-ish, 2016-ish. 2015
to like 28. You're talking Kane's, David Silva's, De Bruyne's. What you shaking your head for?
Bro,
Hazard's better than that.
I like Kane. Kane is
no. What are we talking about? We're talking about in the time that they've been in the Prem, and what we're talking about ability or output.
Riyad Mahrez is better than Hazard.
Bro, no.
I'll say it live on air. I'll say it live on air. Riyad Mahrez is better than Eden Hazard. You want to know why? Because what did Mahrez do for Leicester? Him and Jamie Vardy and Kante, the 3 of them practically won the league. Mahrez, he goes away to Algeria, he wins stuff, do you know what I mean? Carries his team through the African Cup of Nations. And then what does he do at City? He's still consistent. He's their best right winger, obviously. in my opinion. But we've got this Hazard. Even in England, he wasn't that great, man. He'd show up for 6 weeks, and then he's complaining that, oh, I'm fatigued, this, that, and the other, blah blah blah. And Hazard now at Madrid, less than 20 games,
Eesh.
putting on weight. He can't,
You've been injured at Real.
Pardon?
You've been injured at Real. But my point is that Hazard, Mahrez, come on, that's not serious, man.
No, that's serious, bro. Mahrez is class, way better than Hazard.
Nah,
How many PFA awards? They're both on one, aren't they?
I think Hazard's got 2, no? Actually, no, Kante won.
No, Hazard's got a young player. That's all. He's got a young player and a players player.
Young, so one each, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, one each. Yeah, I think so.
Premier League medals and whatnot. Come on, man. They're both experienced in the French league. Then they come to the Premier League. Who's had more of an impact on the Premier League?
Bro, Hazard. Have you?
No, it has to be Hazard. It has to be Hazard.
Have you watched it? Did you not watch? What I like Hazard so much, it's more than the stats. Jamal's point, taking 2 seasons off, that's unforgivable.
It's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. I completely agree.
Ridiculous.
No, he just didn't turn up. But when he was, example, under Conte, or 2015 under Mourinho, whenever you watch Eden Hazard, yeah, just the eye test, don't look at the numbers or whatever. He looks like the best player in the league by far, and it's not close. When he was on it, yeah, he was on it. Every time he got the ball, it was just danger. It was crazy. It was
2015. Who won the league in 2015?
Chelsea. He's only for me, his best seasons have been title winning seasons, and his first season he was really good.
When he played with Costa.
That was the second title under Conte. So if they're not winning a league, he's not really having particularly great seasons. I don't think he's ever really stood out in a season where they haven't won the league, which is kind of alarming for a top player. I can't say that about many other.
The second season under Conte, Hazard's last season when they won the Europa League, he was very good.
That's the season. That's the season Sanchez came to Manchester United.
Yeah.
Oh, boys, we've got to be talking about Sanchez then being a better player as well. Obviously not now, because
at the time that was a thing. That was a thing at the time. That was a thing. Sanchez's first couple of seasons. That was a debate that could be had.
Because Sanchez and Ozil at that time, they were killing it the same way Costa and Hazard.
Anything though, I can't put Sanchez over Hazard.
How can you put Bruno over KDB?
Because Sanchez has been in the league a longer time. Like Bruno's been here 12 months, isn't it? Got to give him time.
Oh, now longevity matters.
Yeah, we're talking about future, not past.
I'm joking.
That year where Sanchez was at Arsenal, he was very good. He was like scoring goals. Probably, if you look at the stats, he probably had better stats than Hazard. But Hazard's overall impact in the game, it was just great. It was better in terms of key passes made, dribbles completed. When I think of Hazard, I remember that season under Conte the most. As you know, Conte was very defensive and negative, and in everything in terms of transition from back to front was on Eden Hazard and nothing else. And then Costa was just there to finish it. And to ask that much and put that much responsibility on the player, you couldn't do that with Mahrez, and I don't think you could have done that with Sanchez to a Premier League title anyway, not to that extent. So yeah, that in terms of, and anyway, it goes back now to just eye test, and Hazard was just, since Ronaldo, he's, for me, in my opinion, he's the best player I've seen.
No.
Suarez. So once
I wouldn't say that.
Statement back there.
I wouldn't say that. I'd have since Ronaldo.
Since Suarez. I'd say Suarez is higher than.
But since Ronaldo left, only Suarez. You think Suarez and Hazard?
Yeah.
I'll put Aguero above that.
I put Harry Kane in there.
I'll put Aguero above him all day. Aguero's been here for 10 years, but this season and last, but he was injured consistently for 8 years. Battered the league, won titles. People have to throw that he's never won a golden boot and whatever. If you look at his goals to games in the 8 years he's been here, And he didn't need, people forget, he never needed a settling in period. You see, like Werner now, I know he's not in the same level, but you see, and some people need like settling in periods. The guy came in, and that first season was devastating. Obviously, it's remembered for like the QPR goal last minute, but from the first game, he scored a brace on his debut and battered the season throughout. It was dominant, and he's been the same ever since. I put Aguero above Hazard all day long.
Going back to Hazard and Mahrez, talking about abilities, other than cutting in on the left and then just firing it low into the bottom corner. Other than that, Hazard hasn't really got.
But that's exactly what Mahrez does, though. Now from the other side, that's exactly what Mahrez does.
But with Mahrez, he can also play the 10, which we've seen him in City. When Chelsea done that with Hazard, he had no clue. Like, he just wants to show football IQ. You know what I mean? Like if you can chop and change a man's position and he still puts in a 7 out of 10, then you've got to give it him. He knows a bit about the game. But when I've seen Hazard go into the number 10 role and whatnot, questions have got to be asked, man. Like he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. I'm making it out as if he's like a 2 out of 10 player, which is not. But Mahrez, for me, like what he's done at Leicester and then what he's gone on to do at City, you know what I mean? He could have hit the back burner at City if he wanted to, but he's only just gone up in it, you know what I mean?
So, Key, quick question. Would you say Hazard is the most is the most overrated player, Premier League player since 1992, since the Prem started?
1992.
Also, since the Premier League era.
Since Premier League, one of the most overrated.
Yeah.
Not one of the most overrated. What?
Who do you think is? I mean,
yeah.
Who do you think is, like, just in terms of legacy, in terms of how they're viewed on now?
Kante.
What, playing now?
Ooh, I like that shot.
Forever. I mean, we'll give you some time to think about it. Why don't we get to George? George just said Kante, which is...
Bro, he can't play football, man. He can't. Seriously, though.
Just a 5K runner.
His development since he's been at Leicester and now he's at Chelsea, like his ability on the ball has improved a lot. And don't get me wrong, what he did for that Leicester team, unbelievable. Like amazing centre defensive mid, can break up, can tackle. But everyone goes on like he's like one of the best centre mid. You can't be one of the best centre mids in the world if you can't pass a ball, like if you can't switch the play, if you can't look for a pass. He's not that level. And people in the past couple of years used to say he was that level. But for me, you can't be if on the ball you provide nothing to your team. And that's just my opinion.
For me, it just has to be Drogba. Like in terms of Drogba, his output doesn't too much recognition. When you look back, I mean, we were all pretty young when that was going on, when Drogba was at his highest. So 09, 08, you'd see him like coming up with his clutch goals, clutch moments. But now you look back at the numbers, you're like, 2008, bro, this guy got 8 goals in the whole season.
Don't you think that's the beauty of it, though? That he doesn't put out as many goals as maybe he should, but the goals he scores, the weight of them, the big pressure moments, he has Drogba moments. Do you get what I'm saying? That's my thing with, flip it back to Bruno, that's my thing. The best players, you're going to need your moment at some point.
No, but that's, in my opinion, then that just says, on the other hand, that he's just a product of his environment. So he's rode the coattails of the whole team for the whole season, and then he's got one moment in
the biggest moments.
Okay, fair enough. It might be the biggest moment, but it's still just one moment in a whole season. If you look back at it in the grand scheme of things, I want a player who's there every single week. You can count on every single week, and he's going to give you at least 25 goals, 20 goals a season. Players like Rooney done that. Even Tevez done that. All of these strikers done that over Drogba.
I hear that, but would you rather someone that's gonna? So Drogba's time at Chelsea, he won what? How many? Like 4 league titles, something like that. Champions. He won everything. Barring the Europa League.
Yeah.
In that time, he never got all these goals. There's other players to do that. I get he's the striker. It's a bit like Firmino at Liverpool. As long as you're there, well, Firmino in the sense of he's not scoring the goals, there's other people to do it. As long as you're there when the big moment is needed, and I need 93rd minute at the Allianz, corners on the right-hand side coming in, and I need someone to head it in, penalty, the 5th penalty to be taken, I need someone to tuck it away to score and win it. I know who I want. There's no bit in football history or in our time. Only one player can talk to Drogba in terms of clutch moments, and that's Ronaldo. So I don't think you can put Drogba in the overrated. I hear from a standpoint of the goals that he scored and the tallies that he had at the end of the season, but I just think the moments that he has, I don't think you can put Drogba in an overrated category.
Because what you've just described is a player who's a product of his environment. You can't describe it the same as Ronaldo, because Ronaldo put up 40 goals a season. He won't put up 8 goals a season. He put up 40.
Fair.
That's a massive difference. So Ronaldo was there the whole season, whereas Drogba was just coming in. He's in increments. He's here, there, and there. So he has to rely.
These moments.
So he has to rely on his teammates to get him to the final destination, basically, for him to just finish it off, put a cherry on top. Which is obviously, it's a good quality, but
the best quality.
If you put him in a lesser team, if you put him in a Tottenham Hotspur team, is he doing what Kane was doing? Is he getting Tottenham top 4 and everything? No, he's not. I just don't think he is.
Maybe not, but I still don't think you can put him in the overrated. Maybe you can put him in the overrated 11, but I don't think he's the most overrated player.
How he's talked about, I think he's the most overrated player.
He's talked about because he has the moments.
Exactly.
Yeah, it should deserve. He's got the moment. The best players say Henry's a great example. Henry was, in my opinion, is the best player to ever play in the Premier League. But he didn't have them. He has big goals in big games, but he didn't have, you think of the Champions League final, 6 when he went through that massive chance at 1-0. They're big moments. It's Drogba that's in the back of the net.
Yeah. But
there's big moments. You need your big players, and he's a big player for a big moment.
I hear that, but regardless, you still got Henry number 1. So
but that's what's like. He's clear of everyone.
Exactly. That's my point. Exactly. So you need a lot more than just big moments. Like you
do now. You do. But it wasn't. Obviously, it didn't happen every season. But he did have a season where he was the guy that was scoring every goal for Chelsea. Man, I think he got like 30 goals.
That's the thing.
Yeah, I hear that, and that's not good enough for someone of his ability. But I don't think you can put him as the most overrated. I think there's players that should be ahead of him.
Who do you think, Bruno?
I'm joking. I don't know. You put me on the spot. I don't know.
Yeah,
I got a name in my head, but it's not necessarily. It'll be controversial, but I didn't see the best of him. His best, people would have you believe, came in the 90s and the early 2000s. I personally, personally,
I know what's coming.
Personally, no, it's the ginger one. It's Scholes. Personally,
bro, I'll probably agree with that. He's up there.
None of them they've never seen him play. The thing
with me with Scholes, I don't doubt that he was a top player, because obviously you don't stay in that United team for as long as you do about being a top player. So I get that. But the way I put him as the overrated thing is the conversation, obviously because they're all English, the conversation comes up, Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes. For me, Scholes, football's based on opinions. I don't really care which way you put it. But for me, Scholes will always be bottom, simply because of the influence the other two have on their team. That United team, in my opinion, is successful with or without Scholes. Liverpool and Chelsea, I don't think are successful without Lampard and Gerrard.
No.
I think you could take Scholes out of that team and put Gerrard in, and you win exactly the same. Put Lampard in, you win exactly the same. If you was to put Scholes in the Liverpool team or the Chelsea teams, I don't think they win or are as successful or are as good as they were, in my opinion.
Facts.
That doesn't mean I don't think Scholes is a good
Liverpool
player.
team
I just think he was
successful.
overrated.
Statement, that man.
Gerrard, apart from the Champions League, like
They won everything but the league.
Yeah.
that's the biggest one.
But at the
For an English player playing in the Prem for his home team, the Prem is the biggest one, and that's why Gerrard wanted to move, because he wanted the Prem that bad.
No.
You got to remember as well, your boy Gerrard, he was flirting with Alex Ferguson to try and get a move.
Nah, Fergie was desperate, man. Fergie was desperate, man. You know, why did United want him?
One thing that gets me with Scholes, yeah, was George will back me up. So he retires.
Yeah, this is the point I was going to make. Yeah, this is
mad. It's so mad. He retires. He goes away for, was it months, George? Weeks?
It was about 6 months to a year, maybe even longer. Honestly,
yeah,
it
maybe
wasn't
even
long.
longer. We're absolutely struggling. We can't sign a player for our life. We give him a call up. We've only got City on the weekend.
He's 35 at this point.
At 35. Was it at the Etihad as well?
Yeah.
35. We've got City at the Etihad. You only go and phone up Scholes, come out of retirement, come play for me. Have you seen that game? Like the performance he put in? I'm not sure how long he trained prior to that, but he comes in and then he just bosses it like at the age of 35. And do we win the league that season?
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
We won the league.
We win the league. We win the league.
The season after.
And don't tell me it's because of Scholes. It's because of.
It wasn't, bro. The league was awful that year. That year was awful.
It was awful. You bring in such a player like Scholes with class and whatnot to help out your team, not just any team. This is Manchester United, and you're 35 in the middle of the park. Do you know what I mean? Questions like you could be asking questions there, but he comes back, bosses it. You can't say much about Scholes. Like the only thing we can talk about on Scholes is internationally, and obviously there was a lot of politics going on back then.
Would you put him at his best, or from what we've seen, at the level of Xavi and Iniesta? That's what I've got a problem with, because people really do put him up there.
I think.
He's put him up there though, like Xavi and Iniesta themselves have said.
But they've done that with Gerrard. All these players big each other up. That's nothing new.
That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to swerve that because I know we've heard.
Yeah, and all these quotes that we've all seen, they're irrelevant.
Say, Scholes should be playing for Barca, this and the other, blah, blah, blah. But if we actually, like, I know we were all young and whatnot, but if we can actually remember, I remember like traveling up there like to Manchester to watch Scholes vaguely. And in the stadium, like you got Rooney, Ronaldo there, and then like you just got this small ginger guy, like he's just pulled. I just remember, from what I remember, I just remember seeing Scholes just spraying it everywhere, like no one can get near him. And obviously, I don't know if you watched Gerrard or Lampard when you were younger, like, but it's just the way to go about their craft, isn't it? And for me, Scholes was better out of the three of them to do it. And talking on trophies and whatnot, Gerrard, how many League Cups did he win? You didn't even win that many, did he? No Premier Leagues.
He won 3 League Cups.
3 League Cups, man.
Bro, like,
listen.
Nicholas Butler done that in his sleep.
Listen,
Premier League medals. But, you know, and then we talk about Istanbul. You lot didn't even. You weren't even supposed to win that. Gerrard had no effect in that game whatsoever.
The man played in 4 positions in 120 minutes. He
So
played right wing, centre mid,
team,
number 10, and right back in 120 minutes against an unbelievable AC Milan team. And you're trying to discredit it.
That's the only performance I'll give Gerrard credit for.
Mate, he scored in every final that he could have won. No, every final he scored in. So League Cup final, FA Cup final, Champions League final, Europa League final. Scored in them all. The only player to ever do so in history.
Boys, I'm gonna have to stop. Stuff it out. We're gonna need to wrap up. We've overran by far. But yeah, George, Jamal, Key, everybody, man. Thanks for coming through. Hopefully, maybe do the same again next week. We'll see. I know I'm definitely with Key again next week. But yeah, thanks for you both for coming through, man.
Come through, boy.